Definitely sweating my tits off.
Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
My throat is on fire. I'm here to do my first Wired Out of the Fleet interview. And we're back. I feel like I'm gonna love this. Who? Told ya. Who is Sara? Fair enough. This is my favorite one. I am a complete unknown, now that I think about it. Like a rolling stone. Moving on. Who is Sara's celebrity crush? Well, I had a few. But then again, too few to mention. Don't know if I can remember them in chronological order, but I'll try. Peter Lanzani. His full name was Juan Pedro Lanzani. Prince Caspian from the Chronicles of Narnia. Ben Barnes, if you're watching. I think he really did make a pact with the devil. He's still so incredibly good-looking and youthful. 1988, Michael Jackson. 1997, Leonardo DiCaprio. Harry Styles. 1988, Axl Rose. Heath Ledger. Viggo Mortensen. River Phoenix. Michael Pitt. Villa Vallo. Cillian Murphy. We're almost done with this. This is a long one. Who is Sara's... Should I do like this? Biggest inspiration? Tons of people, to be honest. Florence Pugh, Quentin Tarantino, Alana Haim. Last one. How tall I am? I'm 5'1". If I stretch enough, 5'2". I'm just kidding, probably still 5'1". Moving on. I'm getting a little tired. What is Sara's dream job? When I was little, I wanted to be a rock star's groupie. Who am I kidding? I still want to be a rock star's groupie. My dream job, it would probably be something that requires me to eat and get paid for it. Moving on. What instrument does Sara play? How do you know I play an instrument in the first place? I've been wanting to learn how to play the electric guitar for so long, only to pull over on a desert street, climb on the rooftop of my car, plug the amplifier, and start playing Sweet Child of Mine in the middle of the desert with no one listening. It's literally on my bucket list. And I've always wanted to play the harmonica. I recently bought one, and I'm only waiting for Steven Tyler to teach me how to play it. I would play it again in the middle of nowhere, probably in a ghost town with like a cowboy hat on and a pair of doll skill sparkly cowboy boots. Moving on. What Sara's favorite color? You'd think this is an easy one to answer, but it's really not. When I was a kid, I loved yellow. Then it became red, and this one lasted for many, many years. A year ago, I would have probably answered baby blue. I definitely had a pastel obsession. Then I had a total obsession with green, but not the emerald green. I loved that bright light green, not lime green, peace green, but lighter. At the moment, I didn't totally got over the green obsession, but I definitely got into purple. I dyed my hair purple. Now I've faded into shades of like yellow, rose gold, and pink. But to give you like a solid answer, probably anything velvet. I swear texture changes everything, doesn't it? I think velvet, it's definitely game changer. Velvet green is my favorite color. Because it's impossible for me to make a decision, velvet just solves all of my problems. Because velvet, it's a texture that changes color in itself. When I say velvet green never stays a single shade of green. Like if you are observing like let's say like a velvet green pillow from this side, you're gonna see like a darker shade of green. But then when you're moving, it changes color and you'll see like a lighter shade of green. You know what I mean. But I had to admit that the color red still holds a very special place in my heart. Let's move on. What is Sara's favorite holiday? It's a tie between Halloween and Christmas. Taking these off, it's so satisfying. Okay, does Sara have a / piercing? Belly piercing? Ear piercing? Anyway, does Sara have a nipple piercing? I wish I could say yes, but no, I don't have a nipple piercing. I've been really struggling to commit to a nipple piercing. I've been wanting one for 5 years now. I swear every time I decide not to do it, someone with a nipple piercing would pop out of nowhere and shove it down my throat, and I would change my mind again. The thing with nipple piercings is that they're so painful. I know people who had to take antibiotics to get rid of the pain, and it could take months up to 2 years to completely heal. And plus, I have to pay to suffer that much. Like, why should I pay to suffer that much for an extra hole in my nipples so that I can look cooler in a crop top. Like, you know what? I'm good. Actually, I'm not. I still want one so fucking bad. Moving on. Does Sara have sibling? No, I don't. I'm an only child with clearly way too much time on my hands. I feel like I would get along with an older brother though, but let's be real. Like having a June Gemini as a daughter, it's like having to deal with two twins couples that are always at each other's throat. So I guess my parents just slowly started to realize that I was kind of too much to handle on my own. Moving on. Does Sara have a what? A pet. Aww. You know, the thing is that when you have a pet, you gotta acknowledge the fact that you have to actually be responsible for another life. First pet that I've ever owned was a goldfish. Actually, two. One died of starvation, and the other one died of a very unexpected death that I may or may not have been involved with. Anyway, to answer the question, I've been planning on getting a poodle soon. And I know what you're thinking. Like, you weren't able to keep a goldfish alive. How the are you gonna take care of a poodle? I got you. You see, a poodle is very present, interacts with you a lot, and you literally can't ignore his presence. A goldfish, on the other hand, it's easier to forget about. I mean, he doesn't make any sounds, he doesn't interact with you, you can't pet him. He is, no offense, useless. I can't wait to get a dog. Like, poodles to me are literally teddy bears. Me and puppies are very much alike. We get excited when we see people that we love and can't wait to jump on them. I'm a big hugger. I remember becoming obsessed with poodles since Katy Perry got Nugget. Wasn't Nugget's real name Muffin? Or did I just make that up in my head? Moving on. Is Sara vegetarian? No. There was a time when I started to feel weird if I had to eat sausages and hamburgers, but it wouldn't happen with meatballs or chicken. Recently, I discovered about the tapeworm. To be honest, I thought it wasn't real. I thought it was a thing to say to people that are never full. And I read that you could get it if you don't cook enough your meat or your fish. So now I became paranoid that if I don't cook my meat till it's burned, I'm gonna get a tapeworm. I'm also anemic, so even though I eat like a ton of lentils, I think that removing completely meat from my diet, it wouldn't be a smart move. What is Sara's zodiac sign? I'm a Gemini, rising Libra. I know, the perfect combination if you want your life to be a never-ending podcast. Moving on. What is Sara's favorite food? Italian food, like for sure. Grandma's homemade pesto, Nutella, carbonara. I also really love Mexican food and Chinese food. My mood relies a lot on food. And if I don't eat what I crave for, chances are I'm gonna be an asshole for the whole day. Food and music are really the things that I love the most in the world. And when I think of that, I get so sad, but not because of that itself, just because I wonder if we could still be able to eat and listen to music. So I try to eat as much as I can until I'm alive. Very dark, but you gotta think about it. But to answer your question, anything my grandma cooks to me. Moving on. What is... Really? Okay. Should we skip my imaginary ones? I'll skip my imaginary ones and I'll go straight to real ones. All right. Let's start off by saying that I had a real clear vision of what terrified me. And I also could explain it very well, but I didn't know the name of it. Now I do. It's called thalassophobia, which, in case you didn't know, it's the fear of what could potentially hide underneath the bottom of the ocean or the sea. It's really specific. It's not the fear of the ocean itself. It's not the fear of deep waters. I learned to swim when I was 3 or 4 years old. It's not the fear of the sea, the ocean. It's the fear of the unknown, you know? The thing is that I'm not only afraid of the gloominess of the bottom, I'm also afraid of the gloominess that surrounds me when I'm underwater. You know when you're underwater and like you look to your right and you look to your left and like you can see, but only up to a certain point. What comes after that, it's blurry and out of focus. Well, that's what I'm afraid of. So basically you're telling me that you can't go underwater? No, because I believe that you should like face your fears. That's one of the reasons why I promised myself that this summer I'm gonna watch for the second time ever in my life Snow White. Anyway. So when you see that gloominess, you can see, but only up to a certain point. Then whatever comes after that is blurry and out of focus. That's where my brain starts to freak out and come up with terrifying creatures that can potentially come out of that blurriness and eat my face right off. So if you couldn't tell, I can't watch movies, especially horror movies that involve the ocean. And one time, I was coming back home from a movie theater. On our way home, my friend texted me and invited me to the cinema that same night. And I was like, bro, I'm literally on my way home from the movie theater. But I ended up going anyway, of course. The movie that we ended up watching was called 47 Meters. I'll never forget it. I'm not gonna tell you what the movie was about because the poster is pretty self-explanatory. Now, what I've learned from that movie is that sharks attack from the bottom up. Needless to say, my thalassophobia got so much worse. I remember the first week after watching that movie, I couldn't even go to pee because I thought that a shark was gonna come out of nowhere and bite my ass. What is... Ooh la la, that is guilty pleasure. I'm a chocoholic. A day can't pass by without me thinking about chocolate, and that's not okay. And if I don't eat it, let's say for like 2 days straight, I will start to have olfactory hallucinations and smell chocolate everywhere. It's bad. Anyway, my guilty pleasure, let's see. My guilty pleasure has always been, and it always will be, eating Nutella out of the jar with a teaspoon. And the reason why I say teaspoon and not a regular spoon is because eating it with a tiny spoon will make it last longer.
To keep all the great big chocolatey flavor inside.
And by putting a tiny amount of it in your mouth instead of overloading your taste buds, you'll focus more on the flavor, the creaminess, and the aftertaste. And that's how you recognize a true expert. And that's it. So thank you so much. I'm running late and